Hey folks, we wanted to give you a midweek update of where we're at. We got that downside that we were looking for, right? Told you there was no dark pulls until we hit the 677. We got filled on, bad news, whether it was, overblown AI, whether it was the mayoral election in New York, who knows, right? The market, we had said, was probably going to be bearish because Powell gave the market the front running of the change in going from MBS to treasuries, which is typically bearish for markets, but we suspect that we still have more upside. So if you like our content, subscribe, like, or comment below if you want any particular ticker. If you want to join our Discord, that's in the description below. But we want to see how high do we go because our AI trigger keeps giving us small scalps. On the 15-minute, we're only seeing upside and downside for about 24, 48 hours. We're also seeing some shifts in the bond market, right? But the 1 hour trigger is still very bullish. So what we want to see is on extreme fear, do we get good dips or are these just traps, right? Premiums are getting destroyed all over the place. I'm watching premiums expire in the millions and billions, which means no one's winning, right? Unless you're just holding equities, which I like to trade personally more equities. But let's take a look at the chart and see what's going on. So what we had said was that we have an upside trigger and we have an upside dark pull hit that hasn't quite hit right around here. What is this at? A little above 689.72. We got close, but we haven't quite hit it. And there's a gap fill down here at 62.20. Almost hit it last night, but we didn't hit it. The low was around 672.40. Now, there is no rule that every gap has to fill, and frankly, gap ups fill more than gap downs. We have like 16 gap downs, but I had said to folks that as long as the 1 hour is bullish, we're intraday trading the 15-minute. It is currently again bearish, and we're treating those as scalps. When it's bullish, we take a scalp, and we're very careful. Why? Because when it goes down, that means the small shops are trading against us. But here, I said there was no dark pool, but if we got over the dark pool of 681.67, we were going long, and then our target is always the moving 10 SMA. Yes, it's a moving average, but that's a target that you could hit, and then just to the nearest dark pool right above it. And then this held again on Friday, which was the 31st, was sort of the end of the month. The market came up again, and then it hit it again on Monday and came up again. Now we have this gap down that hit, but still we didn't quite fill the gap down into. I said the first week of November was going to be bearish. Probably going to be bearish into mid-November again on the news from Powell that he's not going to buy MBSs anymore, and they're going to position into treasuries, which means the market is going to go into treasuries and let go of some equities. We'll get some good fear, and then the market will go long once they secure some very good bonds, right? Because bonds are secured by the federal government, so it's easy passive income. But now we have this gap up, which is around 681.34, and we got very, very close today here at around 680, which is kind of a resistance, right? Because this broke down, this becomes a level of resistance unless we break above. I suspect, though, as of this conversation, the market went under 677 and it's kind of creeping back up. I expect a gap up into Thursday morning. So as of this recording, it's Wednesday. So by the time you see this, it might be Thursday morning. I want to see at least a 683, 685 area. Anything above the 682, 683. If we get 685, that'll be fantastic. But I want to see 685. I want to see the 1 hour go bearish so that I can short into next week to complete I want this gap fill to finish, and then I want to complete the downside back to the 670 area, which would fill the official gap at around 62.20-ish. And then oversell, get some fear. And then again, we still have this dark pull up here that's waiting for us, but it could hit whenever. I mean, this thing could hit in February because once the market has a very strong first half, usually the second half is a lot of profit taking, tax deferments, the market makers getting ready to dump in January and pay their taxes. But one level at a time. If 677.92 overnight holds, then again, we go above the 10 SMA to fill this gap here. The exact gap would be 681.20. 681.67 would actually be the dark pool, and then 683 area here. This is the area, which is this cluster here that I want to see retest. I want to see the 1 hour give us a bear signal so that I can start taking extended puts again into the end of the month. I had told you guys 670 was a great marker, and some of my puts actually stopped out. I keep a little bit. I do trailing stops so that I stay in the game, and then if they expire, they're the cost of doing business. But I want us to gap up, and then I want to short into next week. The deadline for the China tariffs, I believe, is Monday. I have a feeling it's not going to go very well. And we're starting to see some dark pools in some planes like uranium plays. We're seeing some fear coming into the market, and there's still a VIX player playing 35 and 70 into January. A lot of news about Venezuela, a lot of nuclear bombs going off. So stay vigilant, folks. Don't overtrade. Take your trade. I always tell everybody, sometimes the trade can give you 100%, sometimes 15, 20%. Take your base hit, because no one can know that we're going to go any higher. Yes, this is a long. I told the group, hey, go long, but be careful, because the volume was just dying right here, but we didn't fill the gap. So I trimmed some shares, but I'm holding long because the 1 hour is not only on a bullish divergence, it's actually triggering bullish, even though the 15-minute keeps going back and forth. That tells me that market makers are building a momentum. Again, we could break completely down on the momentum, trap some bears, and go up. Or we build a momentum and then skyrocket and hit 690 or above, and then my ultimate target of 740 by February, and then the end of the AI bubble. But stay vigilant.